Welcome, everybody, to the weekend preview show. It's Oldy here. I'm hosting today with 2022 NHC champion and Aqueduct analyst for EquinEdge, David Harrison, as well
Oldy.
as Mike Saletta, who is the EquinEdge Anita analyst. And we're here to just go through the races with you and help you find some winners in some of the most exciting races of the weekend here. So let's kick it off with Aqueduct Race 7, the Grade 3 Distaff Stakes on Saturday. David, if you'd like to kick it off here.
Yeah, welcome everybody, and thanks for having me on the show. And the Wood Day at the Big A was always one of my favorite days when I lived down in the New York City metropolitan area. It seemed like the spring is finally here. The Wood, I attended the Woods days so many times in the past. And unfortunately, it wasn't a harbinger of spring all the time because most of the time the weather was shitty. But I've had success on Wood days before, won a tournament. So the big day for me, I'm really pumped up. Unfortunately, Keeneland was delayed till Tuesday, so we'll get working on these stakes races now. The seventh race is the 7 furlong distaff for fillies and mares, and it just seemed to me that you had to have a favorite here that just seems so likely. And the folks who listen to me regularly on these shows, they know I resist favorites at all costs. I'm a long shot, mid to long shot player, but you know, when you have a menu presented in front of you and the best thing on the menu looks absolutely fantastic, I'm not going to pass up on it. And this one, Irish Maxima, besides having the top pace metric of a 99, draws the rail. I mean, this horse she should just gun from the rail. She's 34% win percentage, 3 for 3 at 7. She ships up. I mean, there's nothing in here that's going to run with her early. And I can't foresee this just being not being a wire-to-wire job. She just looks so difficult on the front end. So that's where I landed here. To get a little value, though, I'd probably use the 6 Royal Spa. Also, she finished second to Irish Maxima in the last race. However, it's 0 for 1 at the Big A. And the other horse I may consider using, throwing it in if I was playing triples, or maybe the second horse underneath in the exotics is St. Benedict's Prep. St. Benedict's Prep is 4 for 10 at the distance, has won 2 races at the Big A, and may sit a good trip behind the speed here. So, but on top for me, it's all day long Irish Maxima as a prohibitive favorite.
Yeah, and I think we all agreed that Irish Maxima was our top choice here.
Yeah, definitely.
But Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about your second choice here?
Yeah, Dave touched on him a little bit, or her, I should say, and that's St. Benedict's Prep is the Scotty long shot, and even though she seems to burn some money, she's still consistent for Linda and Jose, and she's 4 for 10, but she's been in the money 8 for 8 of the last 10. So I think she's got enough, I think, to get in the money. Definitely not enough to beat Irish Maxima. If I was going to play anything in this race, it would definitely be the 1 over the 4. And then I think Oldy, you've got the other horse I was looking at too. So I'll let you talk about her.
So my second choice here was Socially Selective for Bill Mott with Joel Rosario aboard. You know, so this horse, if you believe that the SOR, which I do, has been in against better than what Irish Maxima has been running against. Doesn't mean that this horse will catch Irish Maxima,
right?
Because of the speed factor, but we'll need somebody like St. Benedict's Prep to go with Irish Maxima, or Irish Maxima to break a little slow. But if either of those two things happen, and you know, sometimes the 1 hole can be a tough place to break from on the inside there at certain tracks. So, it's not impossible. I think that socially selective uh, has a little bit of a puncher's chance here. Has beaten 78 SORs. This is a 76. You know, didn't really show up last time at 7 furlongs. I think maybe the question with her as well is the 7 furlong
Yeah,
distance.
yeah, that was
Uh,
my note too. Yeah,
Yeah.
But, I just think that maybe she has a look if they go faster than we think they're going to go there.
yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to race 9 at Aqueduct, which is the Gazelle Stakes. And Mike, if you want to take this one first with your top pick here.
Yeah. So I landed on the 2 Ballerina d'Oro as my top pick. Looking at the field, the 2 and the 8, they've faced tougher than the rest of these guys, it seems. I definitely went over the 2 over the 8. The 8, Liam in the Dust seems to lack any kind of kick down the lane, and it has faltered too much
Mhm.
lately. So that's kind of why I went with the 2 over the 8. So her conditioning since the Devona Dale has been okay, nothing flashy. But I feel this is kind of a weak field, in my opinion. And with her late kick and I think she can get past the pace setters in here, which I think will be the 3 and the 1 by the looks of it. And I'm expecting that pace to melt. And with the probably the 3 taking the lead, 1 and 8 pressing. And I think the 3 is the only one that actually can sustain any kind of pace for the mile and the eighth. And I do kind of like that 3 uh, as my third pick, but yeah, definitely the 2 for me.
And David, what about you?
Okay, with all due respect, I want no part of either of Mike's horses, to be honest with you, those fillies. And I'll tell you why. I am concerned. Now, in all honesty, the 2 Ballerina d'Oro appears to be the class of the race, correct? We'd all agree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that first. But here's the deal with her, is that she's got absolutely no early foot, right?
Yeah, that's
And
true.
there should be enough pace here with the 1 and the 3 going, right? Yeah, I mean, and the 8's going to add some kick, but the issue is a lot of being at the big 8, the mile and 8, the 9 furlong distance is the great equalizer. A lot of these fillies and also 3-year-old colts, they may not want to go that far. It's a demanding distance, and the rule of thumb at the big A is you want to be close to the pace normally, with all things being equal, unless you have some rapid pace duel with 3 speedballs going out. But with that being said, I just don't trust the 2. Obviously, in my horizontals, I'd be a fool not to, to leave her out and try to beat her if I had some long shot in that sequence, but I think I do later. So I'm against her in the top spot. And in all honesty, also, I'm not a big fan of Liam in the Dust. I just don't think she's that fast. I don't think the outside drawer helps her at all. So when I started looking around, I'm like, well, you're right, Mike. This is a rather weak field. So maybe I'm taking the wrong approach here, trying to beat those chalks. But you know me, I have 1 chalk in the first race. I'm not going to go back to back with 2 chalks looking to hit a double.
Right.
So the horse I landed on here, and it's a little bit of a reach, but that's why it makes it fun, is the 7 Pure Beauty for Shug McGahee. Third off a layoff, that race, the last 2 at Gulfstream, optional claimer 75. But what I look for in Shug horses is gradual improvements. Okay, he takes his time with his horses, especially the 3-year-olds, and he doesn't rush them into these stakes races if he doesn't think they belong. So that led me to believe I'm thinking maybe he was going to wait for a spot at Keeneland, but he ships up to New York, which is normally his home track.
Yeah.
And I just think this horse is she's a little sneaky here. And with the gradual improvement, I think she can be a contender. And at a price, I'm willing to put her on top. So that's where I landed. And I think she's going to be suited for the 9 furlongs. And again, it's only because I don't trust the 2 and I don't like the 8. So that's where I landed. But for my second slot, I would put Ballerina Dior in the second spot. And because of my dislike for Liam in the Dust, I think maybe I'm just bitter because that horse has cost me by not finishing where I needed to finish. I'm done. I'm going to use early on. It wasn't a bad second in the Virginia Oaks at Colonial Downs. And I mean, maybe a horse that's on the improve also for Saffie Joseph, and leave out Saffie in these stakes races at your own peril, because I've seen him click hitting the board with horses I thought had no chance. So I'm going to put Pure Beauty on top and both the 2 and the 4 underneath. So that's the way I saw this race. So how'd you see this, Oldy?
Yeah, so I disagree with both of you. Yeah.
I figured that makes sense.
So I'm on Vanilla Sunday, the 3 horse who's top pace and top GSR here for Pletcher. Broke its maiden by almost 16 lengths last time out. I think this horse may be a lot better than people think here. And like you said, this is a very, very weak version of the Gazelle here. And if Vanilla Sunday wins here, gets the Oaks points, that this could be Pletcher's Oaks horse here. And, I just think maybe this is a horse that is maturing at the right time and finding the right spot. And I have distance questions on early on. I have distance questions on Pure Beauty. I have notes I have a note on Liam in the Dust that talks about the slow breaks you talked about as well. If Liam in the Dust breaks slow, I think Vanilla Sunday, I keep calling Sunday, is significantly faster than Late Night Call.
I agree.
And if that happens, that this horse is bred all day to go 9 furlongs. And I think this horse could just be gone. There's also the possibility this horse can rate too, but hopefully they don't try that here and they just go for it. That's what I'm expecting. And, I was the 2 and the 4 underneath, but I think the 2 isn't going to get enough pace to run into, which is what's happened the last 3 times out. This horse is very pace dependent and maybe better on turf as well. So I just think that this race is screaming at me for the 3 to win on top at a little bit of a price, but not a huge price.
Yeah.
You should, Oldy, I think you should get what, 7-2, 4-1.
Yeah.
That's not bad. But again, I did take a long look at that horse, and I just refused to play a horse that just broke its maiden by 16 lengths, because it's going to not work out that same way against and it goes way up in SOR, right? So facing winners for the first time in a stakes race. But granted, it's a rather weak rendition of the Gazelle. So and again, horses can't control who their competition is. So maybe she is the real deal. We will find out tomorrow, Saturday, definitely.
And unless she puts on like a Secretariat-like performance in this race, I want no part of her in the Oaks. I'm just talking about this race on this particular day.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves to the Oaks, because you may not have anyone coming out of here going to got a chance in the Oaks.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and I concur with that. Then none of these would be horses I would want anything to do with it in the Oaks again, unless somebody gives a Secretariat-like performance, or Flightline. All right, so next up we have the Grade 2 Carter. So in the Grade 2 Carter, I actually like the favorite, who's the second pick here, as well as the second highest win percentage, Quince Brew. I'm actually a little surprised at the price here just based on who the trainer is, but this horse has been beating, 74, 70 SORs by open lengths, so pretty decent groups, not just small fields either. Beat a field of 9 there. And, with the exception of the one loss at 7 furlongs, has run pretty well as well at all distances that it's attempted, including 2 turns at 8 furlongs. So I like her to upset. I think Maximus Meritus will go off as the morning line favorite here, and I like her to upset, or him to upset Maximus Meritus here as the post-time favorite, not morning line favorite there. I think the morning line probably has that right based on the Butchie Reed connections with New York and everything like that. I just think that this horse may be the speed of the speed here. They're either going to go too fast for both of these horses, or one of these two is going to continue on. And I think Quince Brew is the one that can rate a little bit and can make that happen. So that's where I landed there. David, what about you here?
Yeah, I'm against Quince Brew, shipping up from Laurel. Believe, and you can help me out because I'm working half-assed today in Florida. I don't have my other screen up here, so just confirm that Quince, in my notes, Quince Brew has never raced at Aqueduct, correct?
Correct. Only at
Correct.
Laurel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of these mid-Atlantic shippers who come up, I understand what the SORs are. They seem relatively even here. And again, I've gone to many Carters over the years, and this is a rather, again, weak field. It's more like mine was a 3 allowance race, right? I mean,
Right.
so. And if you look at Full Moon Madness, the 4-horse who's in here won the Tom Fool last time out. I mean, that was the similar type of race. So you're not getting the really quality sprinters, high class sprinters in these races recently. And as Justin would, if Justin looked at this race, he would know immediately who I was on, because all I tell him is, in the winter at the Big A, the stakes races, just look for Butchie Reed shipping up from Parks, because he's deadly in these spots. Now, with that being said, I tried to beat Maximus Meridius, and I'm a little surprised that the morning line, track morning line is 4-1, but the EE morning line is even money, or as Oldy would like to refer to it as, what was that, Oldy? 1-1?
1-1.
1-1. Okay.
1-1.
So when I see an even money, and even though it's Butchie Reed, I don't think you'll get even money. You'll get more, but I mean, I don't know if I can go against this horse again, because the one thing that she is good at is she's game down the stretch. I mean, you've seen a couple. Look at her PPs. Sometimes she's headed down the stretch. She fights back. So if you're not happy with the price, hopefully we'll get 5-2 or 2-1. Maybe not even that high, but she'll put in a game performance, and she's got a lot of heart. And the other horse, I mean, what's wrong with Full Moon Madness? Full Moon Madness just had won the Tom Fool, but the issue that I have is, does Full Moon Madness prefer 6 furlongs? I'm not sure 7, but I have to tell you, if Full Moon Madness runs back to that last race, it's going to be really tough. And I'm also thinking that Maximus Meridius is a little better, shorter also. So then I'm like, is there another horse that I can come up with here? But with that being said, I just could not come up with the other horse. So to me, I'm going to give Maximus Meridius the slight edge over Full Moon Madness, and that's my exacta. So I can't let Butchie Reed beat me in a stakes race. And in any case, I think, like I said, she's game. She puts in an effort every time out. And you don't know if she'll get it done, but she should be right there. So for me, it's 7. This was out of all these races, this was the closest call for me. So I'm going to use 7 over the 4.
Yeah. And what about you, Mike? Where did you land?
Yeah, I had a hard time with this race too. It seems like everybody is You know, I'd say the pace. Everybody wants to be in the lead. I don't want to say everybody, but a good majority.
Mhm.
And I just don't see this as a great field either. That somebody's just standing right out in front of me. Oldy, you and I were on both on the 2 Quince Brew, but the other horse that I gave a good look at was the number 5 Donegal Momentum. He looks like he can be very tactical. If you look at his last 4 races, at the eight furlongs in the last race, that 80K allowance, with the SOR of 70, very comparable. He was the odds-on favorite there, or close to the odds-on favorite, coming off broke not all that great, but finished well, won by half a length. And then you look back on October the 3rd, where he got to the lead and stayed there, in that 140K. And race before that, he was sitting off the pace again, and coming back. So I think he's tactical. The only knock here is that he doesn't have the 7 furlong history to him, right?
Yeah.
But cutting back, and he's tactical. I think he still has the right makeup to possibly upset this group. He does get that silver badge in EE here, and I think he gets the right trip. He can hit the top here.
All right. And
Yeah.
so
If I can
uh,
add something, Oldie.
go for it.
Yeah, Mike, I'm kind of on board with you. I looked at this horse a long time, and I know that Tom Morley was they were really high on this horse debuting in the second start. But what I was a little confused at is their management of this horse. And don't get me wrong, I'm the last guy to question Tom Morley's management of a horse. What the hell do I know? But it's interesting that this horse looked dirt meant and then went to turf, and now it's like that experiment that was somewhat disappointing, correct?
Yeah.
Now back to dirt. So I usually don't love those moves, but I agree with you. This is a sneaky horse, and probably a horse I'm going to throw into my horizontals just to figure maybe if something falls apart. But yeah, the horse is a little sneaky here. I do agree with you.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I looked a long time at this horse, and my opinion differs from you guys on this horse.
Okay.
My concern is that this horse has never shown the same kind of kick on the dirt as it's shown on the turf.
Yeah.
Not to say that it won't run well on the dirt. I just don't know if it will be able to finish like it has, because it's needed to be more on or near the lead. I
Right.
feel like on the dirt here.
So let me ask you
Uh,
guys this. Sorry, go ahead, Oldie.
no, go ahead.
I was
Sorry.
gonna I was gonna ask you guys this question. What do you think? It could be. It's looking like an off track, or a wet track come Saturday by the looks of things. What do you think about that move, turf to dirt, if on a wet surface? Any pros, cons you guys feel about that? Because I always look at it. He's got a decent GSR on a wet
Yeah.
surface. Again, I guess I get your point on the surface change, but I don't mind it too much when it's switching over to a wet track from the turf.
And David, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Aqueduct plays a little more towards closers when it's wet.
There's two scenarios with wet tracks that I found in the past at Aqueduct. When you have a lot, like for instance, if you have a deluge of rain
Yeah.
and there's a lot of standing water on that track, I mean, it's just a sea of slop, as people would
Hmm.
term it. Yes, closers have a distinct. You can close. You can easily close. When it's speed favoring is either when it's muddy to good, or it goes from having a lot of water and then starts drying out and it gets cuppy. So a lot of water, it's an even to closers track. A sealed wet track that's muddy or good, labeled good, it could be very, very speed conducive. So it's hard to say, well, it's going to be sloppy. Who do you pick? I'm like, well, that's why it's a little difficult picking races 2 days in advance, because
Right.
you'll see the conditions, you'll watch a race or two. I mean, the
Yep.
stakes races don't start till later in the card. And the year that I won the Wood Memorial Tournament, I guessed that we had rain the night before. It was probably a half inch to an inch, but it stopped maybe 10 o'clock at night. I know because I was at 11 or 12 leaving the bar near Aqueduct. That's my annual trek down there. And I said, I'm going to play this tournament like it's going to be a speed favoring track. I watched the first race, which was maiden special weight, went wire to wire. I'm like, okay, bingo. I am just banging away on speed, and it worked. So because it wasn't a lot of rain, and it started out the day muddy and then went to good. So most of the day was wire to wire. So I picked up on it early, but with a lot of standing water, it could be totally different.
Well, I'll tell you
Patrick, I'm sorry, Oldy. Patrick, yes, they will seal the track if rain is forecast, and make sure you'll hear that announcement, because that could make it speed favoring also. And also, Patrick, thanks for the compliment on races 6 and 7. And I'm on board. I can pick horses, but I still have a problem with money management. I should have made a decent profit today, and I ended up swinging at the wrong fence. So what are you going to do? But thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, so I'm going to offer a different theory of this race than we've talked about. There's the possibility that those 3 horses, the 2, the 7, and the 4, and maybe the 5 gets mixed up in there too, go really fast. And if that's the case, and I was very close to going with a closer in this race on top. It was for me a very close race. I thought Crazy Moon and Sheriff Bianco have big looks here, potentially, if that happens. Crazy Moon, the 1 horse for Sacco, puts Manny up. It's a cold front, so should have no problem with the distance, even though it's been running 6.5. It has a win at 2 turns as well, but is a straight closer. And then Sheriff Bianco, kind of the consummate New York Linda Rice horse, always around, always looks like it's got a shot. Did get over the top last time against a little easier, but may have another shot here at a big price to get over the top and blow up the board in a very NHC way, I would say here, David.
Okay. I want no part of Sheriff Bianco, in all honesty, but I do see, I think it's actually Crazy Mason, I believe, right? Crazy Mason for Sacco. Yeah, that could be a tricky horse, and I view that horse as a contender. That rail, saving ground, doesn't need to be close to the pace, and if there's a contentious pace, this horse could be flying at the end. Absolutely.
All right, on to the Excelsior Stakes. I want to scream Excelsior, but so Mike, if you want to kick this one off with your top pick here.
Yeah, for sure.
Going 10 furlong, so it's a marathon.
Yeah, it is a marathon, and I believe there's going to be a pretty decent pace here. 6 and 7 should want to get out front, and I think the 3 and a 1 will press a bit. I looked at batting down a little bit, but I kind of went elsewhere, and I landed on the number 4, Krupe. I know this is probably going to be a non-popular vote here on Krupe because, he's had his downs most recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think he's faced a lot tougher competition compared to the rest of this group. He and I think the 1 or the other horses that have run at this distance, and Krupe has actually happened to win at Saratoga last year at 10. And I think I got away from a Rapoli horse earlier, but this is the one I'm sticking on here with Pletcher and Dillon. I think I've got another Rapoli, Pletcher, Dillon combo coming up here, if I'm not mistaken. But I think they're going to expect more from him. I don't think they would put him here if they didn't expect that he could win. I just don't think that combination would do that. So that's kind of who I settle on here. Like I said, I know it's not his PPs don't show that he could probably win this thing, but again, like I said, I don't think those connections would put him in here if they didn't think he had a chance.
And David, where did you end up landing here?
Yeah, I see Mike say, Krupe, I know very well. I mean, Krupe has no speed. Krupe needs a rapid pace, but Krupe has outrun, to my expectations in some of those races that I didn't expect the horse to fire. So all it is, I mean, this seems to be a contentious pace here, but this is one of my favorite races on the day. I always love this race. I love distance 2-turn races, so I do have a little bit more to say than normal in some of the other analysis of these races. But the first, I just want to touch a little bit on Mama's Gold. Mama's Gold, I've won on before. This horse can get really brave on the lead and has surprised me. Actually, if you go way back, I believe it's the first weekend of December a couple of years ago, some guy in a contest beat me going all in on this horse in the New York State NHC Championship. You had one seat to the NHC, and I was right in it. I had the lead, and he nipped me with that horse, went wire to wire, like 16 or 18 to 1, and I couldn't see. Also, Mama's Gold, surprise. This horse gets a 2 or 3 length lead. This horse gets brave. So this horse does scare me. But with that being said, he was in against Mazmac, Dutro's horse, the last time, had the lead. Mazmac came and caught him. But it's still a horse that I'm going to use somewhere in the mix, thinking that I've seen this horse get brave before, and especially if the track comes up wet. So watch out for Mama's Gold. The track comes up wet. And also the scenario, if there's another scratch of one of the speeds, because we know the track's going to be off. There's probably going to be a couple scratches. If one of the other speeds gets scratched, this horse could be dangerous on the front end. With that being said, also I thought Mazmac, based on those last 2 races for Dutro, I mean, you want to take a horse when Dutro has him in form and looking for 3 in a row. And there's nothing wrong with this horse. Does throw the outside post. We'll see how it goes. But for the top end, though, I can't get away from a horse that I've been trying to get up for, it seems like years. And it's just classic disappointment every time I wager on this horse. But so this is my last shot. And the horse I'm referring to is the 2 Classic Catch. I mean, bred for the distance, right? Did finish third, the 3rd race off a layoff, draws another inside cozy post, finished 3rd in that last race to Mazmac, and also Mama's Gold was in that race. But I'm thinking, okay, maybe the little moisture in the track wouldn't hurt this horse. Distance, no problem. Maybe it'll improve a little bit. I just think this horse always had ability. It's just, it seemed in its younger stages, earlier in his career, always had some kind of excuse. Either got off bad or got a slow pace, or there's always something. I think maybe Saturday, maybe the day here. You get blinkers on, like I said, and has won at this distance, so the distance is not a problem. It may be a little bit of a reach, but I'm going to put the 2 on top. So it's a 2 for me. Oldy Classic Catch, and I'm going to use Mazmac. And I did have a note on Krupe, and I guess Krupe's in a miss. My note is picks up the pieces late closing. So if you want, to me, I would throw Krupe in if I'm playing verticals in the place and show, maybe superfecta. So the horse should Krupe will most likely hit the board and be closing late. So it's all the 2 for me, and this is the last chance. And if the 2 does not run, I don't. If the 2 doesn't win, fine. But if this horse finishes like 8th or 6th, I'm done. That's it. So scratch Classic Catch off my list if the horse doesn't run decently. So that's the way I see it. How do you see this, Oldy?
All right. So I had the 8 Mazmac on top. You've talked through that horse already, so I don't want to repeat a lot, and I'd Croupi next, and then I'd Film Star, who we have not talked about at all, as my third pick. But I just want to say on Classic Catch, the fact that they're putting blinkers on that horse makes me wonder if they're using it to rabbit for Croupi here and to ensure that there's a pace.
Yeah, it's a very interesting
Yeah,
thought.
Because it's they're both Pletchers.
Yeah.
That would be my concern there. But on Film Star, the long shot for Linda, that this horse beat 70 SORs at 8.5 2 back. It's coming off a short layoff, a short freshening here. Keeps Lascano aboard. Has some form in the slop as well. And has several times been in against Too Good as well. But I think with the win at 9 furlongs, being inside speed on what could be a speed favoring track, and having the length of the distance of the start here, which is pretty much the whole straightaway to the past the finish line here the first time, might give this horse a chance to clear Mama's Gold from the outside if this horse gets lucky and everything goes perfectly. And again, those are all big ifs, just like if Mama's Gold breaks better and is just faster than everybody here, that the same thing could happen with that kind of distance. So I just think it's a long shot, and with an E morning line angle being 20%, this is a hard horse to leave out with a bunch of things pointing to it as going to at least outrun the odds.
I have no comment on Film Star. Film Star, I don't think it can win the race. I don't think she's as fast as Mama's Gold. I think she's going to get fried. But I mean, I've seen Film Star sometimes surprises me in some of his past races. So I'm not going to knock the horse. It's really not kind of a horse for me.
Yeah, and the race has this pace being pretty contentious, which is why I was on the 8 and the 4 as my top two picks. But
right. And I'll also just throw in too, if they're going to use Classic Catch as a rabbit, man, that pace is going to be fast because Mama's Gold is fast, Film Star is not slow, and if Classic Catch wants to tangle with those horses early, geez, Mazmek's not slow. I mean, yeah, they could just fall apart. And you're right. And yeah, unfortunately, we've seen that scenario before where they set up a rabbit and other horses go, and it doesn't. The closer, who the main closer is so far back that somebody else closes and gets the win. But yeah, I find it's a very interesting race. So we can't wait for the 11th race on Saturday.
All right, the race everybody's been waiting for at Aqueduct, though. The Derby
you mean the
Cup.
what is it? 2 lifetime, the maiden special weight 20,000 claimer, the first race one? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, exactly. So the Wood Memorial, the race where horses that aren't going to win the Derby seem to go. But David, kick us off here with who you like and where you want to go here at your one of your home tracks.
Sure. Wood Memorial, obviously one of my favorite races, being a New York guy. Like I said, beginning of spring is just, it's like, okay, now the racing season really begins. And, I'm always disappointed because I'm a New York guy. Horses that win or do well on the wood, I want to do well in the Derby. And, you always want to say, oh, I was there the day this horse won, and when the Derby won the Triple Crown. It hasn't happened. But it's been years since a Wood Memorial winner has won the Derby. But I think this year may be a little different. I'm not saying that my horse here, who I'm picking, who I think is going to win this race relatively easily, that the horse is going to be a Derby contender. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I'm really sold on this horse, is the 2, Captain Cook for Rick Dutcher. Now, looks for 3 in a row, and that was a pretty impressive Withers. This horse, from what I've heard from the Dutcher barn, I've heard a few interviews. I actually made a couple calls a couple of weeks ago to a couple of people I know on the backstretch, and they said, man, that this Captain Cook is under wraps in workouts. Dutrow just won't, he's beaming about it, but he's keeping things pretty tight-lipped. But every time this horse works, he's smiling like people never have seen him smile. So, that's inside information. And, some of this is all bullshit that you hear in the background.
Right.
And every trainer loves, don't get me wrong, Dutrow always loves his horses. So, again, but I just think that this horse, draws the 2 posts. I mean, if this horse drew the 10 posts like the entry made McAfee, I'd be a little concerned. Could sit the perfect trip here. It's got tactical speed. I mean, what else do you need? There's no world beaters in here. I'm off Sand Devil. I heard Sand Devil was the next coming of Flightline. Well, based on the last race, and Sand Devil ran very gamely. I was pretty impressed, but I just think Sand Devil probably has distance limitations, and Sand Devil to me may be a Preakness horse. So I'm all over Captain Cook here. To me, it's the best bet of the day. And if I'm going for a second, I think, Baffert has shipped in to New York and won the Wood before. I think maybe back in 2006, 2007, Bob and John, or there was another one. So, I mean, he can ship here because he needs the points. But I'm not sure how good Rodriguez is. But I will tell you one thing. Rodriguez from the rail should have the lead and is a contender. So that would be, to me, it's all 2-1 here. And for third, I couldn't come up with a third horse. So I'm like, what the hell? The 10 McAfee, if I like Dutrow, I might also have his horse closing for third. So it's Captain Cook over Rodriguez, and then McAfee is 2-1-10, with 2 being my best bet of the day.
All right. For me, so I also hit the 2 on top. I know you and I casually discussed this earlier in the week as well. And I had already done my handicapping here and had already made that pick as well. So it wasn't like you were influencing me there. But I was very closely flipping a
You're
coin.
wavering, I heard. You're wavering a little bit.
Between Captain Cook and Grande, the 7 horse, who has a similar run style for Pletcher, has another horse that has proven that it can get 9 furlongs, which was something that I liked in this race. I think there's a lot of early speed, and I think one of these 2 horses is gonna sit a perfect stalking trip here and pounce when that speed just goes too fast and stops. So, those were by far my top 2 picks here, and then I had Rodriguez underneath with a long shot Passion Rules as well. What about you, Mike? Where did you end up here?
Yeah, we're kind of on the same wavelength here, Oldy, to be quite honest with you. I was wavering between a 2 and a 7, and David explained it too pretty well. We'll talk about Captain Cook real quick, and I'll just touch on Grande a little bit more. But with Captain Cook, he again, Dutrow, it's got him well conditioned after his convincing win in the Withers. And you get Manny aboard and Dutrow, that's a deadly combo, and he just sits off that pace, and these leaders falter. I can see Captain Cook definitely taking this. And then with the 7 Grande and being lightly raced, and he definitely is improving. And this was the Rapoli Davis Pletcher combination that I was excited for, actually, more so than the other. And I have a feeling that this is the horse that Pletcher really wants to try to get in the Derby. Whether he's going to do any damage in the Derby's to be determined, right? As we were talking about, the Wood hasn't been a great producer of Derby winners of recent, but you give me Dillon, Rapoli, Pletcher combination, and I'm all over it.
Okay. Also, I just wanted to mention, Oldy, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Were you?
No, go for it. Go.
Okay. I just wanted to address, first of all, Rodney, was I addressing Rodney? Oh, Raphael, the 6 is scratched, is an early scratch out of the Wood. And also to Matt Miller, welcome aboard, my friend. And I do see that the Naira tournaments are back, and I'm in on Saturday. As you know, Wood Memorial Day. I won the tourney in 2017, so bring it on, brother. I'm in, but I'm taking I guess a pocket knife to a sword fight. So I'm only having one entry. So I like to beat people with one entries. I don't need the two entries. It's too confusing sometimes. And it's all going to be on Captain Cook. I mean, I'll just go all in on Captain Cook.
Well,
But I
he's
have
either
some
going to be
other,
Captain Cook or Captain Crunch, depending on
right?
how that ends up.
Or Captain will get cooked. If Captain gets cooked or crunched, I will be cooked also.
Yes.
But I do have some earlier plays that I think I'm going to reach out early, and I might be done by then. But good luck, Matt, if you're in. And there was another somebody. Oh, there was yeah. So Rodney, the four. Rodney's referencing the four Matoli. I'm a big Carlos Martin fan. He gets his horses ready to run. He's hit with some nice price horses over the course of this winter meet. And but the one thing I did look at this horse, trying to make a case to hit the board in my exactas or triples. I just if he wears the front bandages again, I just can't get myself to the point where I'm playing a horse with front bandages in a Grade 1 race. So you see fronts, I'm off my Matoli. No fronts. Maybe I will use them for third or fourth if I'm playing some verticals in that race.
Well, let me add one other thing on my
Sure.
Matoli, which is I want no part of a Matoli going 9 furlongs.
No.
Okay, no, good point. Point well taken.
Yeah.
I
Totally
think my Sharona could beat my Matoli at 9 furlongs.
Yeah. If we were talking a 1-turn mile here, my Matoli would be very dangerous here. For me, it's more the distance and the breeding at that distance that are the questions for me.
Yeah.
And all right, so let's move on to Keeneland, which is on Tuesday. And I believe, David, tentatively, you, myself, and Scotty are going to be doing a show for the Bluegrass. I know you and I talked about it, and then Scotty told me he wants in. So if you're still available.
Yeah, no, Scotty, there is a buy-in, so we can tell Scotty he can buy his way into our analysis, our show on Tuesday. He has a small buy-in. With all kidding aside, I'm looking forward to that. I will have to talk to Scotty. I may be traveling north, but I probably will head north on Wednesday. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So
either way.
Yeah.
But so we will have the Bluegrass live in the stream as well as all the stakes. What we did here, because we don't know the weather, and whether they'll be on the turf or off the turf, we're only going to cover the dirt stakes because we know those will run if they run the card. So, I figure it's going to still be a little wet. You're not going to get a completely dry track by Tuesday here. I heard it's only going to be about 39 degrees. David, I think you're the one that mentioned it as well. So it's not going to get the heat to help it dry out. So let's start with the Resolute Racing Madison Stakes, the Grade 1 at 7 furlongs. And Mike, you want to lead this one off?
Yeah, so we're on race 8, right? Okay.
Yes, race 8 at Keeneland.
So for this one, I landed on the 8, Mystic Lake. She looks to be the pace setter by far. Top GSR by far. And with that 99, I don't see too many 99s. They're I don't know. In these types of races, I think is where you see 99 GSRs typically in EE. But she's 4 for 4 at this distance. Most recently, the Gulfstream win back in January. You could see through her PPs that she took the lead, gave it back, and then took the lead back again to win it for Safi back in January. Won 6 furlong race previously to that. Seems to like this distance. I like these 7 furlong races, I like to find somebody that has won at the 7 furlong distance, and her being 4 for 4, I'll take that any day of the week. You throw Irad on top and Safi. I really think she's going to be really tough to beat on the front end here.
All right, and I went the opposite way here of you and went with the other speed in this race, Emery, who I think could, is the second pick, but top win, right there in SOR. And, for Brad Cox, this horse has shown speed, but it also has shown the ability to be tactical. And I think just has more ways of potentially winning. They were very close to each other, and it was a photo finish at the end at Gulfstream last time
Back and
out. I
forth,
think,
yeah.
I think maybe the inside post here for Emery turns the tide the other way here by a quarter of a length or so. And I really think these are probably the two best horses in this race.
I agree.
And I think you're going to benefit from the fact that that from a standpoint of the short stretch here as well, that will protect these horses a little bit from the closers. So that's where I landed, and I thought the 8 has just as big of a shot. I thought it was really tough to separate the two of them, but I just landed on the 2 on the inside as my top choice there.
Yeah.
What about you, David?
Yeah, I'm going to reserve the right here to call an audible. If you notice that we do have a selection sheet that the three of us share before the show. And
Yeah.
I did originally select the 8, but this race, I struggled with because I think there are so many contenders and I can shoot holes in basically every horse in this field. I wasn't crazy about the inside information. It's a race when there was Pegasus Day. I passed the race. I had no appeal to me. It ended up being a great race with 2 horses. Actually, it was like a 3-horse battle down to the wire. Everybody's in contention. So I originally had, first of all, let's go to the 6, Celia. I want no part of Celia. This horse is off a layoff, coming out of the Breeders' Cup. I mean, this is a prep race. Even though Celia has won at Keeneland, never won at 7, the horse always seems to run well, but has trouble getting up to the winner's circle in grade 1s and 2s. Grade 3s and optional claimers, a different story. So I want no part of Celia off the layoff. So then it looks like, a 2-horse battle between the 2 and the 8. Now, Mystic Lake, there's nothing wrong with this horse. 4 for 5 at the distance. So how do you play against my original pick? Why am I changing my mind? Well, to me, it's more of a percentage issue, right? This is a pretty tough competitive field. Mystic Lake has won 2 in a row, just got up by a neck to beat Emery. Emery has speed. The 8 has speed. What's the common denominator? Could they get involved in a mix where they're going to just burn each other out? It's probably going to be a stretch duel with 5 or 6 horses coming down the stretch, the 2 speeds in front. So I'm calling an audible. I think I would give the edge to Emery in this time over the 8 Mystic Lake. I just think the percentages, that was only a neck finish, and Emery was charging late and almost got up. So Emery is also 2 for 2 over the Keeneland Racing surface, and also 1 for 3 over wet track. So I would give the edge to Emery just by a little bit, but I'm not even going to put Emery on top now because I just saw something that piqued my interest, and I'm going to go with a little bit of a price here. And I'm landing on Sherry DeVoe's horse, the 7 Justique. This horse is a turf horse, okay? However, this horse has been entered in grade 1s, grade 2s, grade 3s, and always closes, but just never got up, ran pretty evenly. And this didn't embarrass herself in any of those races, right? But that was when it was the horse. She was trained by John Sheriffs. Goes over to Sherry DeVoe, who was a very, very brilliant horse trainer. I admire Sherry DeVoe's. She just does really well with her horses. And she moves this horse to the dirt and scores the first time at fairgrounds in an optional claimer. Pretty even, a pretty easy win at 4-5. Then right back in an overnight, it looks like an overnight stakes to Carousel, 150K. And hesitated to start, closed with Jose Ortiz, and got up again. Well, maybe this horse is found the surface that she loves the best. Look at the workout on March 28th. 4 furlongs, 46-1 breezing, first out of 48. I mean, if this horse is not sneaky at 9-2, and if I get 9-2, I will just match this horse up on top with Emery. And I think this horse is live. She could be live. Now, is she moving up in class? Absolutely. But, you know, horses, when they get good, they will make the step up. And if they're good enough, they'll get the job done. If not, you know, you can't control who you run against. So they're trying a stakes here. And I just think that because of some other questions that I have with some of the other entrants here, give me Justique. So I called an audible here. I'm taking Justique with Sherry DeVoe, looking for 3 in a row, stepping up in class. So I do have a little concern with the 7 furlong distance. But the way I look at it, if this horse ran pretty decent in those mile races on the turf, cutback should maybe not be a problem from those races. Stretching out from 6 to 7, we'll see. So I'm going to be on Justique.
So, David, I've watched Justique a lot, because we've covered a lot of Santa Anita races on the shows that she's been in. My concern with her is that she struggles to get out of the gate. And the thing about when she moved to Sherry DeVoe the first time was she got out of the gate. But she went back to that habit last time, and against a better group of horses, which is what was happening when she was running against better horses for John Sheriffs too. She wasn't able to overcome that. So I actually think that the Scotty Longshot here, My Main Squeeze, the other closer in the race, is the closer to be on here. Has 2 wins at 7 furlongs. You know, obviously is going to need pace to run into here, but you know, if My Main Squeeze gets that pace, this horse could steal this race at 8-1. You know, has wins in the 8 Bells and the Dogwood that are good enough here.
I see your point, but I'm off on My Main Squeeze. I'm concerned about the layoff. If she had a race, you know, one race back, I'll watch one race and I'll probably be on her in the future. Yeah.
All right, on to race 10 here. Did I skip a race here?
I think, did we do the
Commonwealth?
Commonwealth?
I skipped the Commonwealth. Sorry, my bad. Race 7 at Keeneland. David, you want to kick off the Commonwealth here?
Oh yeah, I'll kick off the Commonwealth because you could have skipped this race because you got a lot in here.
I agree.
And Matt, watch out! Matt's going to be loading up when he knows I don't play. I'm not a chalk player. When I say, "Hey, this horse is unbeatable," then he usually loads up on it probably. Thanks, but well, here's the deal. I think Montecino, the 2, is just that's stone cold lock. I don't know what else to say. 27% win percentage, has won at Keeneland. It just looks like the best horse in the race. So when I look at a horse like this, I saw, going down the entry and looking at other horses, I'm like, why am I even wasting my time? I am just going to single this horse and move on. I'm not even going to comment on the other horses. I just think this horse is the most likely winner of the day. And you'll take your, as Oldy likes to say, you're 1-1. I think maybe it's more like 6-5, but and I'll take it and move on.
And
I can't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean that was my top pick as well. I'm gonna just play contrarian for a second here, and say that that there is a bunch of speed signed on here. Best actors right to the inside. Hoist the Gold, when Hoist the Gold is good, is very good, but it usually is bad.
But hold on a second. When's the last time Hoist the Gold was any good? It's probably at New York in that sloppy
Yeah, the
track on
cigar
the
mile and the
cigar
yes,
mile, right?
Exactly.
but you know that, but is going to go fast. So how about Nutella Fella for Gary Contessa, Team Contessa here, pulling an upset running late at 7 furlongs. You know, horse did win the Hopeful in 2023. That was a huge upset at 54 to 1. You're getting 12 to 1 here, so the risk is priced in. Even if you get 10 to 1, the risk is priced in. You get
You'll
Cy
get
as a
more than
board.
12 to 1, but go ahead.
Yeah, but you get Cy as a board. The the horse doesn't have a problem at 7 furlongs, and may get the speed to close into, and did show a little more speed last time out at Tampa at 6 furlongs, but I think you will revert back to the late closing running style.
Okay, and I'm going to expand. Mike, did you want to go?
No, go ahead. I'll go with mine in a sec.
Okay, Oldy, I just want to expand on your Nutella Fella. I went like, oh shit. I apologize because I've had this horse in the past. I just think Nutella Fella is a little cheap, but I will tell you this: in your favor, if you go back to June 8th of 2024 at Saratoga in the Woody Stevens Grade 1, now which is normally run at Belmont Park. This last year was Belmont at Saratoga, and we're going to have the same scenario this year, and I'm loving it. I got my seats already. But I will tell you this, that in that day on June 8th, and the day before was an intensely speed favoring track on the main course. And they went crazy on the front end here and went 21 and 1, 43 and change, which, everybody, jocks in the trainer, you pick up as a speed favoring track, and then they went bonkers early. And this horse, I saw it coming down the stretch, and I'm halfway down the stretch, I'm like, this goddamn horse is going to get up at 20 to 1. But Bookham Dano was just incredibly, intense closer that day, just was very impressive. But if Nutella Fella gets a pace like that, this horse can close. But I'm not convinced, but it does have one good race where you could see it's got some potential to run a good number. So not impossible.
All right, what about you, Mike? Where?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all over the two Montesino as well, but if I'm looking for a price that could possibly win, I don't think he will, but at least get a piece, and that is as the 10 extra Anejo. Yeah, I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Again, as I mentioned, that the 7 furlong distance, he's won twice at that distance. I realize he's coming off a pretty long layoff at Churchill, and he's not much with not much speed inside him. I think he can get the trip he needs, and get in position, in a stalking position. He needs to avoid that 3-4 path like he seems to get himself into previously. But if he positions himself well enough around that final turn, I think he can position himself with a late kick there. He seems to be training pretty well. And then you add my boy Flava Flav on top of that's the horse I would fall on with a little bit of a price. He's got a decent GSR for this distance, and I think if I want to play an exacta, I think I'd put the 10 underneath the 2 for me.
And Mike, not a bad call in my humble opinion, because anytime you have a horse who's won over the track, horses for courses, even though Extra Anejo is somewhat lightly raced, so has had his issues, this horse has run some impressive races off layoffs before. If you go back from the come out of the Haskell, cutting back off almost a year layoff, running 7 furlongs at Churchill. And I had bet the race Kane that day, and I was really surprised how well Extra ran. So even though the horse does have some issues, because of that is lightly raced, so you've got a lot of
Yeah.
gaps.
Yeah.
But look at the workout on March 20th.
Yes.
I mean, so this horse can run well fresh. I see your point. So yeah, I think the horse is definitely a contender. I agree.
Yeah, and you give me a Into Mischief pony, I'm all over it. That's my favorite sire.
Is that because you also like to get into mischief at times?
Yes, that's probably the reason.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Yeah, I got a hockey tournament coming up, so there'll be a lot of Into Mischief going on.
I hear you. Yeah,
You
a little chippy
drinking
mischief.
team. Yeah, drinking team with a hockey problem, as we say.
There you go. Right. Good luck. Good luck. Enjoy.
Thanks.
All right, on to the Bluegrass, the $1.2 million Toyota Bluegrass Stakes. So I'll kick this one off here. On top, I have the 3-horse Burnham Square, the Holy Bull winner, who didn't run well in the Fountain of Youth, but I think bounces back here at 9 furlongs with the longer distance to the first turn here. This horse has shown some tactical speed in the past. I think that there's a lot of speed signed on here. I don't particularly like the closers, Chancer McPatrick or Admiral Dennis. And I just think Burnham Square from an inside post here with that run up might have a little more speed than people think, and will be in more of a stalking spot to take over when all the speed goes as fast as I think it could with River Thames, Owen Almighty, and East Avenue all needing the lead. So I landed with a little bit of an upset with 9-2 on Burnham Square for Ian Wilkes. All right,
Mike,
David, how about you?
No, I'll let you go second, Mike, because after I give out my opinion on this race, I'm pretty confident that Oldy and Chris Walsh are going to throw me off the show. So I'll let you go. Yeah, let you go next, Mike.
That's all right, because I'm going to contradict Oldie a bit because he wasn't on.
They're going to hate my horse, but go ahead.
Oldie was talking about Chancer, and he's one that I was on early on in the Derby preps, and I get it. He's disappointed recently with his Tampa Bay. I mean, he didn't run all that bad. And then he had the layoff from the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but he's got that race underneath him at Tampa. I don't think he ran all that bad. He's improving in my opinion, and I think he can sit the trip. If he's, I want him to be a little bit more forwardly placed like he was in the Tampa. And I think with the speed up front with River Thames and East Avenue going at it, I think he can sit that trip and get his chance this time. I want to see Flavian get a victor here as well. So I think it's kind of more of a heart feeling for me, just because I've been on Chancer early on, and I think he can improve off of that Tampa performance.
So can I just give you my overall thought on Chancer for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
And
I was going to do that. You can go first. Okay.
and this is my opinion is that those grade ones at Saratoga, at Saratoga,
Belmont
and
at
then at
Saratoga,
Belmont,
Belmont, Aqueduct at Belmont,
yes,
Belmont at Aqueduct. Yeah.
yeah, all confusing me, but those were incredibly weak races with incredibly hot paces. And
yeah,
I think that the quality of horses here, whether it be the speed or the horses in between, are much better. And I make the same argument about the horses East Avenue has beat at Keeneland as well, that those were incredibly weak races. And those horses have come back to do zilch, nada, nothing. I don't think the last I remember, I don't think any one of them has come back to win a race. So for me, this is either your classic Chad Brown closer who everybody jumps on in the Derby, or it's the Diet Coke version of that. And I'm thinking it might be the Diet Coke version of that.
Okay. I also wanted to make a comment on Chancellor McPatrick. In all due respect to Mike, and I totally respect your handicapping ability, but the way that I'm going to now you know I'm going to be trashing your horse coming up. So I'm complimenting you and I'm going to trash your pick. So I apologize. But in my opinion, Oldy, I think you're on the right track, and I'm going a little veering off I'm going in a southbound line, and you're going on a northbound. We're going in the same direction, but I'm veering off a little bit because I think besides being wheat fields in that hopeful and the champagne, I mean, what's the common denominator with Chancellor McPatrick's wins? They're one turns, right?
Right.
Yeah.
To me, Chancellor McPatrick is a one-turn closer, and he loves one turn. I'd love to see Chancellor McPatrick in a Met Mile on Belmont Day at Saratoga. So I don't think this horse is, trainers and owners get Derby fever, but I think after this race, they're going to realize that this horse is better suited to a one-turn mile, and I expect him to. So I'm going to put a future bet on Chancellor McPatrick to win the Met Mile, and hopefully convince Flanagan Racing to put him in that spot. But in all due respect, if there is a rapid pace here and it melts down, the horse does have a shot, but not my favorite type of, like I said, I prefer one-turn mile.
Yeah, that's a valid angle. I get it.
Okay. Are you ready now, or did you go yet?
I'm ready, David.
Yeah, now we're going to beat up your pick.
You're going to beat the hell out of my pick. I am sure you will. And I was a little reluctant to come on the show and give this horse out because I know I already see people bashing my horse in the comments section. So just hear me out. And I may be wrong. I've been wrong a couple times before in my handicapping analysis, a couple of 100 times wrong. But that happens to all of us. But the first horse I'm going to mention is a horse I totally respect and I think is going to hit the board and run a very good race, but it's not my top pick. It's the 3 Burnham Square. I think Burnham Square on a bounce back. I mean, Burnham Square was very impressive on Holy Bull Day, and then ran kind of evenly on Fountain of Youth Day. So, but I just think that, or did the horse hit its peak and it's going to run that type of figure and that type of race, and it's just not good enough. It's going to be 3rd or 4th in these races. But I think the horse is going to hit the board, and it's going to be in my exotics and my exactas and triples. All right, you ready? The drum roll will begin. I got to give this horse another shot. The bad races that this horse had were just too bad to be true, and that's East Avenue. I know I'm going to get bashed. He's off form. He lost his last 2 races by a combined. I don't have my reading glasses here, but it looks like almost 40 lengths. So when somebody comes up to me and says, "Did you just give out a horse who lost his last 2 races by combined 40 lengths?" I'm like, that sounds like a horse I always play. So that's no different than my normal line of thinking. This horse is morning line 3-1. Puts blinkers on. Did have an excuse in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Had the inside post and broke dead last. Game over. The horse was favored. However, off of a layoff, and I'll give any horse 1 race off a layoff, but the horse was 4-5 and stalked and just totally collapsed, didn't run a step, totally disappointment. I don't know what the hell happened. Did he not like fairgrounds? Was something off with him that day? I don't know, but I'm willing. I will tell you this, that in that Breeders' Cup, that Breeders' Futurity on October 5th of last year, that race impressed the hell out of me. I think he went fast, he was challenged, and he just drew off very impressively. And that race is convincing me to give this horse 1 more shot. On March 29th, we have a 4 furlong breeze, 47 flat. March 22nd, 59-4. March 16th, 5 furlongs, 1:02. This speed, no, with East Avenue getting blinkers on, no one's getting to the lead besides East Avenue. If they stalk, they might fry themselves. I think East Avenue opens up. He's too fast for these horses, wires him, and Burning Square is closing. So give me East Avenue over Burnham Square. I don't want anybody else in the race. So now am I kicked off the show? Now go ahead, Bash. Okay, Bash in order. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I know Oldy hates my horse. No, River Thames will be close to the pace.
I was baffled by East Avenue at Fairgrounds too, and part of the reason why is the horse is working at Fairgrounds, and was working like the horse could rate or had speed. That was that Risen Star race though, where that Asmussen horse nearly broke the track record,
Right.
and then injured itself and is never going to run again.
Yep.
And so let's put that into perspective. Maybe the horse can't rate. I do think that Owen Almighty needs the lead.
Yeah.
And it's telling that Irad gets off there and Jose gets on. And I will also, I'm going to call this out for a second, that Brian Lynch tried this once before with a Tampa Bay Derby winner. That was Classic Causeway. And he pretty much ruined Classic Causeway by running too many Derby preps too close together. And the horse was never the same. He had the horse taken away from him eventually. He does not want to run in the Derby. He wants this horse to lose. They're going to gun it. And he wants the horse to stop so he can say the horse can't get the distance and we should go in the mile that day.
Right.
So,
and he's a Spikestown.
Yep. So, I just, that's where my question is, does Owen Almighty or River Thames, who can rate a little bit and was very impressive on Fountain of Youth Day, and if it wasn't for the run-up, wins that race. Sorry, I was giving Chris a chance to jump in.
The run-up.
Is
he going to pop in? He's going to pop in and he's going to effing berate you.
I was waiting for it too.
He's lurking in the background, ready to rip
said, nope.
I set him up. I set him up for it, and he didn't take the bait.
I think he's got some HOA problems right now that are probably more pressing.
But I think River Thames runs second or third. Just needs a second or third to get into the Derby. As well. And you do have to consider that a little bit too, is that horses like East Avenue and Burnham Square need to win here, and horses like River Thames and pretty much Owen Almighty don't need to, and can finish second or third and will have enough points. And Owen Almighty has enough points as well, but probably doesn't belong in the Derby according to the trainer.
No.
So let's, unless there's somebody else you guys want to talk about here, let's move to Santa Anita. All right, Santa Anita, the race 4, the Fasig Tipton, easy for somebody else to say, Santa Anita Oaks. So this is your Oaks qualifier for Santa Anita. It's only going to have, it's a 6-horse race. I believe it's going to have 75% of the points here, but whoever wins this will get in. Tenma, the 4-horse here, was the second choice in the only Oaks version of the futures to Good Cheer. So and his odds on here, gentlemen. Mike, why don't you kick off here and talk about, I think, all of our top choices, the odds on favorite here.
Yeah. I don't. This is the block of the Saturday for me. It's even at Santa Anita and probably the other tracks. After looking at these races, you get Baffert and JJ together, and they're deadly at Santa Anita. They're the tops right now, winning it pretty much every time they put each other together there. I don't think that really hasn't done anything wrong, right?
Yeah.
Winning her last at a mile, Mile and an eighth after. And the added half furlong isn't going to be a big deal for her either. I think she's had big talks about being an one of the top Oaks contenders. She does need, I think, some points to get in. If I'm not mistaken, I think she's near the bottom, so they're going to have her ready to go. She probably needs to win the race to get enough points to secure a spot in the Oaks and probably be in the top 3. I think in the early morning line odds.
Yeah, I mean, David, I don't know if you have a different opinion here, but I think Tenma. I thought Tenma might have had a big shot. Was my second choice in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies before she scratched out. I believe she spiked a fever. Uh, against with Imperative there. So, the I liked her going back to last year. She's won at 8.5. Granted, it was at Los Al, and sometimes the surface at Los Al doesn't translate elsewhere. But she's run well at San Anita and Del Mar and kind of run well everywhere. She's tactical, and I just think that it's hard to find a way that this race doesn't play out for her.
Right, and I'm on the same page. It's not so much that I love Tenma here, but I just like everybody else. So looks like a logical favorite. And I mean, when I see a horse that looks just heads and shoulders above the rest of the field, I'm not going to reach out and try to, grab a crazy long shot just for the sake of grabbing a crazy long shot. Of course, this is not the NHC, so that's not going to happen. So I'm on Tenma. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It looks like the best horse in the race. So I'm going to I just go along with a horse that's a likely winner here.
All right. I will say I like the long shot as my second choice for McCarthy there, but how much do I like it? Not that much.
Good for second. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
let's just fire our way on to the Grade 3 Monrovia Stakes. I feel like there's an accent I need that I don't have.
Monrovia. You have to say Monrovia, my friend.
Monrovia.
Monrovia.
I need to do a Dracula voice,
The
which I don't really have.
Monrovia.
Monrovia.
Yeah.
That's even better. That's a good one, Mike.
Yeah. Down the hill, going 6.5. And, this race, these 2 races in a row, I think might be races that Matt Miller will love.
Yes. I agree.
So
really?
Yeah. Go, David, you want to go first on this one?
I will reluctantly go first. In all honesty, if the listeners know my style, I probably will not be playing much Santa Anita, so I didn't really delve into it as much. I'll be in the Wood Tourney and concentrate also Gulfstream on Saturday. But I mean, this looks like your classic double, $10,000 straight double, and I mean, you got a horse here. Morning line is 4 to 5. EE morning line 3 to 5. Queen Maxima, and I mean, I'm usually not a guy to play doubles with 2 favorites. I wouldn't do it here, but I could see somebody else doing it. Again, that looks like another likely winner. So when I see a scenario like that, I don't spend a lot of time on the race. And again, it's because I dislike the other horses in the race more, but it looks again like another likely winner. I apologize for not analyzing more, but I just can't see a way to beat this horse either.
Well, won 3 in a row, has won down the hill, is tactical, has speed, has enough speed to be in position here, but likely won't be on the lead. Omaha Girl, the speed is cheap. So, it might clear, but is going to stop, which is kind of what Omaha Girl does. Omaha Girl's been down the hill as well, so you see evidence of not being able to win going down the hill as well. Mike, what about you? Did you have a second choice here?
Yeah. So that's where I always try to find value with these, even money to below even money of choices that are so obvious. And if you can do doubles, the Matt Miller doubles, and get, usually my number's 4-1 if they're at even or below. And if I can get 4-1, that's value to me, big time. The other way to get value is definitely verticals. So that's where I was looking here, and that would be the 5 Venganza.
So you got to say
Um,
it like you mean it, though. Like
Venganza.
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 I love Venganza.
um, I'm a big Kimura fan, jockey out of Woodbine, and it sounds like he's making his home in Santa Anita, from what I understand, and doing pretty well since getting back healthy. And I could see, this horse has done well here at this distance down the hill. Last 2 trips this year, will definitely sit off a pace that is cheap, with cheap speed, and I think she can definitely come in second place underneath Queen Maxima. That's the play I would make there. Ice cold
All right.
6-5 exacta.
Ice cold.
Well, I'll, for the sake of Game of Thrones, make the argument for the other queen here, the Queen of the Mud, who for some reason is a turf horse,
Right?
and I feel like should run really well in the slop on the dirt. But I do like her shortening up. She's won at 5.5 at Keeneland, and she's got some tactical speed as well. It's a Kodiak, who is a turf sire I really like. Um, did win at 8.5, and one of the angles going down the hill is often a horse shortening up.
Yeah.
So I think as a logical second choice, the Queen of the Mud on the turf, not in the mud, might have a chance to steal the crown here. But that's probably, I really think that this race is probably no deeper than those 3 horses.
Yeah.
I would concur, as they say.
And Mike, I'll let you take the last race first here, the Santa Anita Derby, since you are our Santa Anita analyst, and so go ahead and kick us off with your top choice here.
Yeah, no problem. And this will be an unpopular pick too, because this Colt's been picked on quite enough on his own, right? And that's number 4
Yeah.
Barnes. Um, the obvious choices, if you look at everything on paper, is going to be a battle with journalism and Citizen Bull, right? I mean, these two are probably going to be in the top 3 to 4 Derby horses, regardless. And the way I'm looking at this is Baffert's going to want to put as many as he possibly can in that Derby just for revenge purposes. And one way to do that, Citizen Bull doesn't necessarily need the points. If he comes in third, it's enough. I know they're reduced points. One of these horses might even scratch, so it might affect the points a little bit. So that might change things for me. The Citizen Bull could use some extra points to guarantee that spot, but I just see that's my angle. It's a weird angle. I get it. I like Barnes early on in the preps. Um, he started off great, and then he hasn't been training well. They've been trying different things with him. But again, my angle is, hey, Baffert wants to win the Derby probably so bad that he's going to throw as many darts as he can, and it's usually the other Bafferts that win the Derby. So I think that's my weird angle. Got nothing else besides my weird angle.
David, you want to go next, and then I have some background on Citizen Bull
Sure,
to give as well.
sure. Well, I was really impressed with the victory by journalism in that last matchup with Citizen Bull. Now, yeah, I heard analysts saying that, in their opinion, Citizen Bull ran the better race because he was closer to the pace and he survived. And that's all well and good. But to Mike's point, yeah, Citizen Bull, Barnes needs the points more than Citizen Bull to get into the Derby. The issue is I'm not a big Barnes fan. I'm not sold on that horse. I just think journalism is the one horse you want moving forward. And I think I'm predicting or somewhat forecasting a rather dominant win by journalism and moving to Kentucky and being the Derby favorite. So I don't have a lot more to say. I'm just impressed with the way journalism is coming. And I think you're going to see journalism improve even further based on what I've seen. So with even a little step up in ability or a little improvement as a 3-year-old is getting older, more mature, I just think this horse is a standout and is going to win this race rather easily. So it's all journalism for me.
All right. So.
And that's not fake news. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. And in the interest of being forthcoming and honesty, I have Derby futures on Citizen Bull, Barnes, and journalism from the same Derby futures pool, which I think was futures pool 3. But I'd have to go look and see which the actual pool number, but it was in early February. So here's what I think here. I agree with Mike that Barnes 100% is the one that needs the points. And if we look here, there's really only 2 speeds in the race. Both Bafferts aren't going. Okay. There is a work from 5 days ago posted by First TV where Citizen Bull is using a horse. Was it not 5 days ago. 3/17/25, where Baffert is working Citizen Bull with a target. So the horse starts almost 6 lengths ahead of Citizen Bull. And so we all think Citizen Bull can't rate because early in the 2-year-old season, Citizen Bull was unable to get the lead and couldn't rate. This work sure looks like Citizen Bull can rate, and not just like pressing rate, like can sit off and rate. So I think that the plan here could be, it's either Citizen Bull gets an easy lead and blows Barnes away, and this race is over, because when Citizen Bull's gotten to the lead, nobody's been able to catch him so far. But I think it's more likely with Barnes and even points, Citizen Bull doesn't, and you don't want to try something like that for the first time in the Derby if you don't get the lead.
I see what you're saying.
I think they're going to rate Citizen Bull here. I think they're going to use Barnes as the target, and if Barnes stops, I think Baffert still thinks Citizen Bull will beat journalism here. Whether he does or not, those are 2 different stories, but I'm just giving you my theory of the race.
Yeah.
Barnes needs the points. Citizen Bull needs to test and see if he can actually rate in a real race before the Derby. I think that's how this race plays out. Journalism could still win, but you could see Citizen Bull not go. And when I say not go, not press either, sit in kind of a stalking 3-4 lengths back position, and be the horse that's coming with journalism at the end. And then it's just a matter of who's better at that point. But I do recommend taking a look. It's bookmarked, and I'll throw it a retweet back out there on this work from First Bet and First TV that they put out there for free for March 17th, because it was to me, it was very informative. And I think of the moment in Happy Gilmore where Happy learned to putt.
Yeah.
And so that's what I kind of think of here, because everybody's convinced that Citizen Bull has to have the lead in the Derby, and maybe Baffert has a trick up his sleeve here.
So you're thinking this is a prep within a prep.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you send Barnes out somewhere else, right?
Yeah,
because
good point.
Barnes needs
I
the
can
points.
see that. Yeah.
And even second may not be enough points with the 75 with the reduction for Barnes to get in. So, if you weren't planning something like that, Barnes should be running in the wood instead of Rodriguez. So you know, the again, I could be crazy. I probably am crazy. I was definitely crazy last week, but I think that this could be what we see play out. Um, and you know, I really like journalism. I'm very happy with the price I have on him as well there. Um, but I think that Baffert does stuff like this, and trainers, when they have enough points, that they take these risks in these races to see whether the horse can do what they're seeing in the work. So that's my thought. I have Citizen Bull on top, but I think Barnes has a big shot to win here.
Okay, so your scenario, and this makes total sense, that the two Bafferts are not going to get into a speed duel,
Yeah.
which makes total sense, like I said.
Right.
But I'm just looking at a dream matchup that I just envisioned. I would love to see Barnes and Chancellor Fitzpatrick face off against each other in the Met Mile. To me, those are where they both belong, but that's another story. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I agree with you, David. I mean, you know, and as well, I wonder if Barnes doesn't win here, I wonder if we see Barnes until August or September.
Yeah, you might be, yeah, cutting
Would be
back
my
probably.
thought, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
hearing the stuff about him kind of looking tired and all that stuff. You know, this was a very expensive purchase for Zidane, and
So
you know, Baffert
1.2,
wants. Yeah, that's the number
1.2.
that's
Yeah.
in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so Baffert wants to give him every shot here, but if he doesn't make the Derby, I could see him being shut down and rested and coming back around the San Diego at Del Mar.
Right.
Yeah. And
Oldy,
I'm just
quick question. Does Manicat Road win the Derby?
Medicat Road does not win the Derby, but does have enough points to get in, Chris.
he
Yeah,
does.
I don't know that and maybe we should ask Hot Rod that question because he's our Medicat Road expert. If that horse is going to run in the Derby, even though it has enough points. So
Yeah, well, he just got cooked in the Florida Derby. Just
yeah,
saying.
but
Mike decided not to take
I mean,
the horse. And go
getaway
up.
car.
Yeah.
well, Mike's on Rodriguez in the wood too. So
3.2. Okay.
I
Thank
am
you, Patrick.
not.
We had the 0.2 right.
Yeah.
Patrick's noting that Barnes was 3.2
3.2.
million. We had 1.2, so
More
we're
than I
only
thought.
about 2 mil off. Thank you, Patrick, for
I mean, it's not our money,
clarifying.
so what's a few million between friends, right?
Okay.
I think getaway car has enough points right now, but I think with these last 100-point preps,
Right.
he
Well,
might
no,
get
Manicky
knocked
Road,
down.
they
But
think will have enough points after this round.
yeah, I was thinking
Where Getaway Car
too.
won't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he will. He'll probably get
Getaway
knocked
Car, who's best known for being the blocking back for the other
exactly.
Bafferts. So
For Citizen or for not Citizen Bull, what's the other one? I
yeah,
was
for
thinking of?
Citizen Bull and the
Yeah,
juvenile.
Citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So you know, and people don't like to hear that Baffert does stuff like that, but he does.
Does.
Yeah, just like Chad Brown puts rabbits in races to set up pace for horses like Sierra Leone and his turf horses. He's done it
Right,
many,
and
many
and
times.
and and I'm gonna give you a shout out there, Oldie. And I believe it's last fall, Chad entered this crazy rabbit under I forgot the stable. It's a Clarevich, 2 Clarevich horses, and ran this rabbit. And you actually liked the horse to go wire to wire. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is a rabbit though. And the horse went wire to wire. Was it like? Is it? I'm guessing 26 to 1 in like a 6-7 horse field. Do you remember that horse?
Yeah.
Kudos.
With wet turf. Yeah.
They let the rabbit get away. I mean,
Yep.
and it was a wet track. And usually at Saratoga, when there's a lot of water on those turf courses, it gets a little slick, and you get a long lead, and the jocks are tentative behind you. So it's like, no, as it's going around a part time, I'm like, no one's closing on this moisture laden, it's wet as anything. And there it goes. So boom, congratulations again on that rabbit that ended up stealing the race.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, the chat, Jay in the chat points
Yeah,
out
Patrick.
that
Yeah, I agree
yeah,
on Matticat Road.
Barnes says 18. Second, we'll give him 36 and move up to 19. He's on the bubble. Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah, that's why I
So
was
he's
saying
got
that,
to
Jay.
win.
I think, I mean, it is. Yeah, they get a scratch. He's gonna need to. He's gonna need the win. So
Oh,
yeah,
cornucopia to the freak.
you get JJ.
Good one, Patrick. Good
Yeah,
one.
All right.
yeah, and I think Getaway
So,
Car probably will go there too.
I
yeah,
don't know. I have something penciled in at 7 furlong grade 1 at Saratoga with Cornucopia's name on it
yeah,
Yeah,
on Traverse Day. You get yeah. I think that's where Cornucopia is going.
yeah. I think you're right. Um, all right. So thank you, gentlemen. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure.
thank you. It was a good
Um,
time.
yeah, definitely some good opinions. Thanks everybody in the chat. You've been wonderful. Hot
Thanks.
Rod, thank you for showing up here as well. Connor in Japan, enjoy your time. I hope you and Dave Duncan get together there as well. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
everybody.
Patrick.
And we got the
Matt,
stretch run
Dave.
uh, at 3 Eastern on Saturday, covering the Santa Anita Derby and the Wood Memorial. And we may have a special on Sunday, and then we'll have Tuesday the Bluegrass day with Scotty and I, and if David's not traveling, David as well. And we will see you guys then. Hope that you're able to make it, and may all your bets be good ones.
And I'll add, and may the horses be with you, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen in the crowd or the listeners. So have a great weekend. Enjoy the stakes racing, and hope everybody stays well, happy, and healthy. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, Connor. Be good over in Japan, buddy. Have fun.
Get into a little mischief at least.
Yeah, there you go,
Some
Connor.
honest mischief in Japan.
I like that.
Our